Pursuit of victory, pursuit of victory, pursuit of victory. Life ain't no mystery. Read up on history. Taking all these concepts, don't take it out of context, but pursuit of victory. Yeah. Welcome everybody to another episode of P.O.V podcast. I'm your host, Victory Waroe. Thank you and welcome to the show. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications for when I do post new videos. Make sure that you share this video if you like it. Leave a comment as far as how you feel or just in general future topics you want discussed on the show. With that being said, shout out to all the people, sharing, liking, commenting, or even watching the video. Appreciate it. Much love. With that being said, let's get into it. So, the quote of the day today is going to be, "It's never too late to give up your prejudices" by Henry David Thoreau. To add on to that, I really think the quote should say, "It's never too late to give up your prejudices, racist ideas, racist ideologies, and just hate in general for people." And I think that quote is very self-explanatory, but I think for me, I'm going to explain a little further because I think it's one of those things where you're not born racist or you're not born having prejudices. It's one of those things that you learn, and people have to realize that it's wrong, and at the end of the day, something that's learned, you can unlearn it. And with everything going on right now, it's a lot of people don't want to take accountability for things that they've done over the years, and I think it's one of those things where it's just be a better person and take accountability for having these thoughts and unlearn them, because you can unlearn them. You learn them so you can unlearn them as well. The two recommendations today is going to be a film with Jane Elliott. It's called A Class Divided. It basically shows you how you're probably never going to know how it is being a black person and just in general what we go through. But with this type of movie, it's something where she shows you the dynamics of racism and how it feels, being put through a trial pretty much. And she's done it with all populations, little kids, adults, and it's just a great dynamic to watch, you know what I mean, to really understand what black people go through. Because like I said, I don't think you necessarily know how it feels to be a black person, but if you're put in a certain situation, then you can. So, just go check that out. Then the second recommendation is called Blacks, Blues, Black. It's with Maya Angelou. Basically, I've only seen one episode so far. I have to watch more, but it's a whole series talking about African American history, and African history, how it relates, how we have some resemblances. It's just a overall good series, so just go check that out. It's actually on YouTube. Both of those films are on YouTube. You can go check it out. So anyways, let's get into it. Before we talk about any topics, I want to say happy birthday to Breonna Taylor and rest in peace. I do want to talk about her case a little bit before we get into anything. So, like I said, R.I.P. and happy birthday, and it's unfortunate that you died the way you did, So, I'm going to read this real quick, just excuse me for a second, but we have to get into it. So, in March, Breonna Taylor was shot to death by police in her own home. It's what has been described as a botched raid. Officers barged into her apartment in Louisville, Kentucky, as she lay sleeping and fired multiple rounds. And by the way, these people have not been charged or anything. She would have been 27 today. So she was aspiring to be an EMT and an aspiring nurse. Was shot 8 times by police. Let's get into that too. How, for some reason, or there is a reason definitely, were such a threat that 1 time, 2 times is not enough. There was, I don't know his whole name, but I know it had McDonald in it. They shot the dude 16 times. You see what I'm saying? So that's where, for people who are talking about that there's good cops and all of this, is get out of here. Because look at that, 16 times with McDonald, and then with her 8 times. And they came into our apartment, didn't knock on it, and just barged in, and did not say that they were police officers. And then I think the boyfriend was trying to defend, so he ended up shooting one of the officers in the leg. And the interesting thing that I found is that, let me read on. The interesting thing that I found is that basically, Walker, the boyfriend, was arrested and charged with assault and attempted murder on a police officer. Isn't that interesting that they killed your girlfriend, you tried to protect your girlfriend, so you know what I mean, you defended yourself, but you have to get, like, let me read, I didn't get to it. So later in the month, he was released from jail on home incarceration. On May 26th, the charges against him were dismissed. So that's all I'm just saying. Isn't it interesting they barge into your own home, they kill your girlfriend by shooting her 8 times. You have to go to jail still. I don't know how long he spent there, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they still haven't charged these officers. Like, and it's one of those things where, like, I don't know what it's gonna take for people to really see that, like, you know what I mean? This is not a game anymore. It's not. It never has been. And I guess this will kind of go into the next topic. So it's for the George Floyd situation. I still want to kind of continue about that. So I didn't even notice this because when I watched the video originally, I was so caught up in just the act of what they did that I didn't notice other things. And I think this is the thing with the media that you have to pay attention to, is that sometimes when you're so focused on one thing, you miss what's going on in the rest of the situation. So if you go back, I don't know if the video is still up, because I think to a certain degree, they're going to end up removing the video or something, because, you know, when too many people start to see what's actually going on, that's what these people do. They shorten the video, they take it off. It's hard to find the video, but I'm predicting it. But anyways, it should still be up. But if you go watch the video, it's not the EMTs that come and pick him up. It's not the EMTs. It's 2 other officers. And when they come to the situation, they don't try to revive him or anything. They just come, take his body, put it in the ambulance. I don't even know if it's an ambulance, and just drive off. So notice that they weren't EMTs. They were 2 other officers. And this is the thing, when you talk about stuff like this, people will be like, "Oh, conspiracy." No, go watch the video for yourself. Those were not EMTs. So how does that make any sense? Like, the EMTs didn't come and get him. It's 2 other officers that came and got him, put him in that ambulance, and just drove off. You know what I'm saying? Then that's just not it. On top of that, when they went and did the autopsy, I didn't need them to do the autopsy, but they still have to do it. But honestly, you could just tell from watching that video that the man died from you strangling him to death, or not even strangling, but you using your knee to, basically, it's the same thing. You hung him with your leg. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely what it was from. So from the original autopsy that they did, the department, whatever, they said that it was not from asphyxiation, and that it was from health issues, which didn't make any sense. The family had to go do their own autopsy from a different, from a private investigation. They had to. Can you believe that they had to go do their own investigation for the autopsy to really see what he died from? And as usual, like, if you look at the video, like I said, they determined that it was from asphyxiation. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You know. So just that alone is crazy in itself, that, like, these people can't even admit, because that's the thing. The whole thing, way this system works, is that the people in power, the oppressors, they protect each other. Cops protect each other, no matter what you want to say. There's a brotherhood that goes on. It's just kind of like gangs. The same way they don't snitch with each other, cops do the same thing. And people could say what they want. You might have family members that are cops, but they protect each other. What I want to tell for people who want to bring that argument about there's good cops, where are the good cops testifying about these bad cops before these situations happen? This dude had a history of doing this, and nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. And on top of that, the law enforcement thought that it was still a good idea to have this guy on the field. Like, it's just, like I said, I'm not really amazed at this stuff because, like I said, at the same time, the system is so corrupt in so many ways, and that will kind of gear us into the next thing of that. This is the thing for anyone watching, is that the system is so flawed because for black people, it's not just the law that we have to deal with. We got to deal with education. We got to deal with politics. We got to deal with religion. There's so many areas that we have to fucking deal with, and it's not just one, and that's where people get it twisted. It's not just cops and law enforcement that we have to deal with. It's every area of activity that we go through, we have to deal with it. You know, even if you want to talk about jobs, that's a whole nother thing. So for everyone watching, it's just like, the system is so corrupt. You know, the system of white supremacy, or white supremacy, which is equivalent to the same thing as racism. Racism and white supremacy are the same thing, but people don't like saying that because, you know, I think for us, to be honest, I can say it. I've read the ISIS papers and I've read other people, and it's just we don't like to admit the reality that we're in, to be honest. And it might be for multiple things. It might be death. It might be the factor that if you try to help your own people, they've killed multiple people that have tried to help our people. Anybody who tries to help black people, something happens to them. You can look through whatever. I'm not lying to you. Malcolm X, what happened to him? He was very bold as far as speaking on what we needed to do as a people. What happened to him? He died. Martin Luther King, as much as people praise him and talk about that he was a peaceful man and all that, what happened? Same fate. So this is what I'm trying to get to you people, is just that the fact that a lot of us talk about this whole thing about being peaceful when we do all these things, but Malcolm and Martin and Malcolm had two different ways of going about racism. But look, they had the same exact ending. They both died. They both got killed, assassinated, whatever you want to call it. So people don't want to talk about that, but like, racism affects us in so many areas. Education is a big one because, like I said, I've come to the conclusion, or just over time thinking about stuff, when you go into the school system, a white person and a black person have two different realities. When a white person goes into the education system, through learning the stuff that we have to learn, they learn how to become a slave master, and a black person learns how to be a slave. You know what I mean? And you can stop that, obviously. Like, if your parents or somebody teaches you your history, you'll know that, like, in history you weren't just a slave, you were other things. It's just that they tend to focus on slavery. So the education system is another thing to blame. This is why I talked about it in the first episode, but I didn't go that much into it. But the education system has so many flaws because whenever they talk about our history, they only focus on slavery, and that's such a bad thing because you're not giving it in its full context. If you want to teach us about slavery, that's fine because it is still a part of our history, but show us the whole context. Talk about the Nat Turners. Talk about the people that were that were rebelling about slavery. Do not just show us images that they captured us, we were enslaved, and that's it, and we were just cool with it, because those are the images that you put out. And like I said, you do something to the white student and you do something to the black student. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a faulty. People don't like to admit it, but the education system plays a role into this. You know what I mean? Then you want to take into that, it goes into the factor of jobs, because you could be smart and all of this, but like at the end of the day, it's like you have so many disadvantages as a black person. You really do. You know, we're smart, we're scholars. Those things that they don't show us these images, and that's why I said that images are so important. And it's just unfortunate because, like I said, I think a lot of us were afraid to talk about what goes on because, like I said, of the fate that you see that happens when you tell the truth. You know what I mean? But I guess my advice or my inspiration to you guys would be like, do not be afraid to talk about the truth, because at the end of the day, when you're neutral, you're like look at just look at the multiple ways where even when you're not doing anything, you still kind of could have that fate. So it's like they're killing us by the numbers, by large numbers, and it's like we're dying anyway. So why not tell the truth? Why not speak the truth about what we go through? Because to be honest, the racists or the people who hate us, they speak truthfully how they want to about us. So why can't we speak truthfully about what we go through as a people and just our reality at the end of the day? Why do we have to do it in a way where we have to, you know what I mean, tone it down, whatever? Like, that's one thing I'm tired of, because at the end of the day, you can do that as long as you want, be that safe dude, whatever, but you gotta be real and just talk about what you're going through, because it's not natural for you as a human being to not speak about the things that you're going through and to try to put them in a way that is not gonna offend anybody. Like, that's whack to me. It's whack. I know all of us, we've kind of been trained to do that, but we gotta get to a point where we just speak truth and say things how they are, and it feels good to say it. It feels good to say it, because at the end of the day, it's like, that's one thing I can say is, like, we shouldn't be afraid. Like, I know that I'm over that thing of being afraid, because like I said, like, I want to read you something that I wrote, and I wrote this because sometimes when you tell your own people the truth, they don't want to hear it because it sounds like it's negative, but it's not. But they all know what you're talking about. It's just they want you to tone it down what you have to say. But I wrote this just as an inspiration to inspire us, because most of the time we're only getting negative stuff. So I basically said, let me see. Hold on, guys. So I want to read you something. I wrote that the title is called "We Can Be Victorious," and this is how it goes. If we truly took the time to see, read, ask ourselves questions, have certain combos, analyze and understand the greatness within us as Black people from all regions and all that we've done around the world, and still are able to do under the circumstances we face every day of our lives that tremendously affect us, we would really understand why they have to do what they do with us on a daily basis. Racism is like a chess game, like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, R.I.P., said in her book, the ISIS Papers. We can't expect to beat our we can't expect to beat our oppressors if we don't understand their tactics and come up with our own that supersede the ones they have in place. If we aren't willing to at least even try, we'll always get checkmated. We can look at our ancestors for knowledge, inspiration, strength, empowerment, and courage. Let's look at some of the tactics they used and succeeded with, and modernize them accordingly. So that's what I'm just talking about, is just like, that's why I can't be afraid, because like, I know my history at the end. I might not know everything about it, but I don't want to say I know enough, because I'm one of those people where I don't know enough yet. Like, I still have more and more to read, because that's the thing about us that I want to tell you guys is we've done so much that the history is just like, it's a lot to take in, because we've done a lot, and that's why they have to hide these things. That's why when you go to school, they only want to teach you about slavery, because if you really knew who you were and the things that you did, we would be unstoppable. And I think that's one of the things too, is that we gotta stop doing some of the things that we do to ourselves. A lot of us hate ourselves, and we project that hate onto each other instead of unlearning how to hate ourselves, loving ourselves, and then projecting that to other people. This is why in other episodes I was talking about this, but like, to stop tearing down each other. Like, if this person is doing this, support them. You know what I'm saying? Like, support their cause. Really be supportive, because oftentimes we hate ourselves and we project those things to other people, and it's not good. You know, if anything, you know what I'm saying, it ends up taking us to things that, you know, aren't really us. You know what I mean? But it's really important that you guys understand that this is not a joke anymore, and this is not a thing to just do for the month, because another thing that I wrote, I will read, you can go on my Instagram, Victory Waterway, is basically how I was talking about. A lot of people now, they feel comfortable talking about these things because it's safe now, because now you can't avoid not talking about it, so it's safe in a way. But were these same people like 2, 3, 4, 5 a year ago? You know, because me, I can be honest and say these subjects I've been talking about them with my friends. You know what I mean? On social media. I don't think that really like counts because it's social media at the end of the day. But having these discussions, coming up with solutions, you know, talking about why we do certain things. But I know for a fact a lot of people after a month about this, whatever, like even let's say the cops get sentence and they get what they deserve. The fight isn't over yet. There's still mad cases that, you know, people are walking around here free and they killed somebody's sister, mother, uncle. You can keep it going, you know, grandmother. Like it's nuts, and that's why I think that we as black people really gotta take this seriously. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's one of those things where like you don't want to be thinking about this so much because it'll make you go crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Have these discussions, and then go party if you want. Have these discussions and then go and, you know, have fun or whatever. But it is still important that you have these discussions. If you're an artist, put it in your music. If you're an actual, like, if you draw and shit, put it in your paintings and whatever. If you dance, find a way to express this stuff. But I think a lot of people, they just want to entertain instead of educate. You can entertain and educate at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do. I know these discussions, guys, they're tough to have, but we have to have them because who else is going to have these discussions, you know? I know I kind of like rambled on a little bit, but it was really important. Like this episode is really for my people, you know what I'm saying? I really don't care if I offended you, whatever, because this is not about you. This is about the struggle that we as people go through every day living in America, in Africa, wherever the case may be. Because like I said, racism is everywhere and we have to make it come to an end because the oppressors have just proved that they're not going to make it come to an end. So we have to do. We already do it in the sense that everything in this world that's popularized, we popularize it. So if we popularize ending racism, we can really do it. You know what I mean? But anyways, we're gonna go to another subject because I don't wanna, you know what I mean? I don't wanna like be repeating the same thing over and over. I just hope, as far as that subject, really take it serious. Do what you gotta do. I think the last thing that I was gonna say is I appreciate the people that are going out there and watching and protesting, but I will say at the same time, that's not the only way you can protest. You can protest in your music, you can protest in your artwork, you can protest in your podcast. There's multiple ways to protest, not just one. But with that being said, let's move on. This next thing will kind of relate to it, but I wanted to talk about how in Hollywood, they make all these movies, and a lot of people just look at these movies and they think, oh my god, it's a movie to keep me entertained. But one thing that I'm going to tell you guys is Hollywood, every movie that they make has an agenda. Everybody has an agenda. This podcast has an agenda. When this musician puts out a music, it has an agenda. When somebody does a painting, there's an agenda behind it. Now, it's just dependent on, is your agenda good or is your agenda bad? You know what I mean? An agenda isn't bad in general. It's just what's your intention with your agenda. But with a lot of these movies, they have agendas. Because think about it this way. They're pouring all these money into making all these films that take maybe millions of dollars to make. You think that they're just making the movies just to make them. It's not just to entertain them. An important thing that people forget is that art is a reflection of reality. And a lot of these films, when you watch them, they're talking about what's going on in society already. It's just a lot of people just think that this is a film. Like when I watch Get Out, for me, I really, you know what I mean, I really appreciated that movie, and it's one of those things for everyone else who watched it, maybe they didn't get it, or maybe they thought it was just a psychological thriller, but that talked about, it expanded on a lot of just black reality in a way, you know what I mean, dealing with white people and just the things that they say, things that they do, how they react to certain things. I really enjoyed that movie, but I want you guys to pay attention to that when you watch these movies, how they are a reflection of what's going on in society already, or they're showing it in the sense of that what's going on in reality, but maybe an extreme version. Even if you look at things like Black Mirror, that's one thing I like about Black Mirror is that when you watch most of these episodes, it's most of the time an extreme version of what's either going on or the opposite of that. You know what I mean? Like But yeah, a lot of people just watch films and they just think that they're just made for people to just watch, but it's like, nah, like there's an agenda behind everything, you know what I mean? And that's what I want people to take in. Even if you look at stuff like The Matrix, man. The Matrix was, damn, it's one of the best movies that was made, you know what I mean? I at least gotta be in the top 10, you know what I mean? If you can't take anything from The Matrix, you know what I mean? I think the one thing I took from it is just being able to see reality for what it really is. And a lot of people can't see reality for what it is, you know what I'm saying? They're just looking at it from the perspective of what they're being told every day, instead of like thinking for yourself, you know what I mean? Having certain questions, questioning yourself, questioning the things that you're told. A lot of people don't want to do that because it's a tough route. And you know what I mean? It's just like I said, people are comfortable with just living the norm instead of going out of their way and just questioning stuff. That's the main thing, questioning stuff, you know what I mean? Questioning religion, you know, questioning the education system, questioning law enforcement, questioning why racism keeps happening and doesn't stop, you know. But yeah, a lot of these movies, like I said, they're an extension of what's going on in reality already. So just pay attention to that, you know. Let's see. I think that's it pretty much. I don't think I really have anything else. Other than that, going back to the first topic is just, oh, I do have one more thing. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is that it's one more thing. It has to do with George Floyd. I've been seeing a lot of people on social media show their true colors. I feel like it's people that already knew what they were kind of like. I'm seeing a lot of people use white supremacy talking points and masking it to look like they care about these issues when I know for a fact they don't really care. They're just doing it to save their asses. It could be label execs, companies, you know, certain people you went to high school with, you know what I mean? I'm not really friends with these people like that, so to me it doesn't really affect me like that because I don't chill with these people anymore. But I just wanted to say that, like, as far as our people, guys, stop falling for the tricks that these people keep doing. Like, one thing that I want to talk about is that now, or like a few days ago, these cops started kneeling, like, nationwide, and I think I heard 4 different states or however many states. And my whole thing is, I'm not falling for that because Kaepernick has been doing this. And it's only now that you want to start kneeling? It's really only now you want to start kneeling? And here's my thing. I think that they're only kneeling for us to maybe think that they actually care about what's going on. And once we do that, we're going to go back to the same thing, where we're going to think that they're on our side, we're going to ease up on them, we're going to forget about the situation, and then a month from now, another case happens, and then it will happen, same thing. So that's why I say, like, this energy, we gotta keep it going. We gotta keep doing this, you know what I mean? It can't just be a month thing. It's gotta be something that you're consistent with. And like I said, it goes back to what I said. Racism is like a chess move, and I have to keep repeating this because when you say things once, especially with people's attention span, they don't get it. You have to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until it goes into their subconscious and then they understand it. But it's one of those things of understand your enemy's strategies, figure them out, and figure out better strategies than that they already have in place. Because I think for us as a people take advantage of the fact that we're a very spiritual people. And what they do is, especially with these things, I've been seeing a lot of people hugging, praying, doing all that stuff, and that stuff is not going to help us. It's not okay for me seeing people like hugging cops or because that's not gonna stop it, because at the end of the day, when they go home, whatever, they don't care about that. I think for the most part, these people that do this stuff, it's just for cam or whatever. Because I'm very skeptical, because I always wonder, what discussions are these people having at their houses? That's what we don't get. At the end of the day, you can say that you have a boyfriend and you guys are really cool, you suspect that he's not racist, but you don't know what he's saying behind your back at home with his friends, with certain coworkers, whatever. Like, I always come from a place of being skeptical, and I'm saying that because of my experiences being in this country. Being in this country 16 years, there's just a lot of stuff that I've peeped, and I like to share with people, but like at the end of the day, I can't force how I think on you, whatever. I can only just give you what I know. But guys, if you're black, please do not fall for these tactics, because this is why I say go back and read your ancestors' history and see some of the stuff that, you know what I mean, they've done. Because with us, it's not just police brutality. They've hung us, they've killed us, they've murdered us, they've raped us, they've stole our culture, they've stole stuff from Africa and they talk shit about it, but at the end of the day, Africa provides all the fucking other countries with all the resources. So what the fuck are you talking about? So for all you people who be shitting on Africa, it's like, fuck you, honestly. Fuck you, because you get all these resources from Africa and then you want to shit on the same country that you're taking all these resources from. So 2 more things before I go. The 2 things that I want to say is that I've said this I think 1 or 2 times. It's the fact that they treat us like we're not human beings, but at the end of the day, if you really think about it, if you really read your history, and if you really see us and see just how we are as a people, we are the most human being people in this world. It's in the word human or humane. We are so human as a people. Even if you think about it, the factor of that, after all these things that these people have done, we still are willing to forgive them. We're still willing to give them hugs. We're still willing to accept them. You know what I mean? That makes us just human in general. So at the end of the day, like, I don't get that. Another thing that I wanted to say is the factor that a lot of people don't take this into it, but if you really want to be free, or if you want freedom, freedom doesn't come free. There's a price that you have to pay for freedom. And what I want people to realize at the end of the day, and even I realize, is that freedom is not free. You have to pay a price for freedom. And the real question behind that is, are you willing to pay that price? And that's all it comes down to as far as ending this whole thing is, are you willing to pay the price for freedom? Because if you look back, our ancestors understood that, you know what I mean, even through death and everything that they had to go to, there was a price to pay for freedom. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope you can take really something from this, you know what I mean? I know it's a heavy subject, but I thought that this was really like an important episode to cover and talk about all these topics. And I just hope you gain something from it, you know what I mean? With that being said, peace.